Um, YouTube. I am still partially in shock, and yes, that's a Pikachu right next to me. I don't know what to really say right now. I just witnessed by far the most shocking thing I have ever seen in Walking Dead history. Um, I was supposed to, what you call it? Hang on. I'm technically supposed to do, a reaction rant to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 2, titled The Justice Society of America. I was supposed to do it a while ago, like, most likely, like, Friday and Saturday, but, a lot of stuff happened, like, for example, I wanted to do a prediction video on who I thought Negan killed in the Season 6 finale of The Walking Dead, and that ended up being 4 videos, and I was able to record them and upload them, like, in the nick of time, like, literally all of them uploaded, like, maybe an hour and a half before Season 7 premiered in the East Coast, which is, like, they're 3 hours ahead of me, and, I put off The Legends of Tomorrow, and I think I might actually put it off till tomorrow for Legends of Tomorrow, mainly because I want to get Walking Dead out of the way, because right now I'm still reeling from what I've just witnessed. Amazingly enough, my prediction videos, I had a top 4 of who I thought was, the one who got killed in the end of Season 6. Anyway, like I said, I'm pushing back Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 2, titled The Justice Society of America. I'm gonna most likely do it later today, because right now it's 1 o'clock. It's Monday, 1 o'clock in the morning right now, and I'm still reeling over the season premiere of The Walking Dead Season 7's Episode 1, which is the season premiere. I'm still reeling over that, so I'm gonna do that first, because I feel like if I don't get it out there, it's going to bug the heck out of me for a very long time. So I don't know if you've seen my prediction video, but I made 4 videos on my top 4 people who I thought was the possible Negan victim at the end of Season 6. And my number 1 guess, I gave the reasons why I picked those 4 in particular, and how I numbered them. Like, number 1 obviously is my number 1 pick on who I thought Negan killed, and there's number 2, and there's the least likely, which is number 3, and then the one that I think is rare would be number 4. And I was actually surprised that I was actually right. I'm normally not right when it comes to predictions, but my number 1 choice for who I believe Negan killed at the end of Season 6 turned out to be the very person that got killed, because they did show it. And what I didn't suspect was what happened afterwards. Of course, we see the sneak peek scene. Wait, let me rephrase it. This is The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 1, which is season premiere, and it's titled The Day Will Come When You Won't Be. The opening scene is basically, obviously, whoever Negan killed is already dead, right? And, obviously Negan is taunting Rick with his barbed wire wrapped baseball bat Lucille after obviously killing whoever he killed. And he's talking to Rick in the opening scene. We saw this opening scene because we saw the sneak peek of this, where, Negan's talking to Rick after bashing whoever he bashed, and at one point during the conversation, Rick actually threatens to kill Negan, right? And, at one point, Negan also mentions, this guy right here is he asks what type of weapons Rick had, and Rick's all like, I had a knife and a hatchet, like a mini axe, right? And, Negan mentions his right-hand man, and asks his right-hand man to give him the hatchet, and at one point, Negan's like, do you have a right man? Is it one of these fine people still alive? And then he pretty much like taunts him saying, or was it one of the people, was it, he basically was saying, was it someone I, right? And shortly after that, Negan pretty much takes Rick and drags him and shoves him in the RV, and he has Rick's hatchet on his belt, and basically he drives off with him at this and says, we'll be back. If Rick comes back with me, I don't know, but I'll be back. And basically we find out, inside the RV there is a moment where Rick tries to kill him using the axe, because Negan dares him to try to make the wrong move, like, take the axe and I dare you to try to kill me, and Rick tries, but Negan just straight up points a machine gun at him and stops Rick and drops the axe, and then, Negan punches him really hard in the ribs and warns him not to do that again, and then pretty much drives the RV and drives Rick off somewhere in the RV in this nearby area, right? And this is where it gets amazingly intense. How many minutes am I in? I'm 6 minutes in? Okay. This is where we actually find out who was actually killed, because Rick has like these flashes where, I think in the beginning of each of these flashes you see like the bat being pointed at each of them, like the eeny, meeny, miny, mo moment, and then it goes flashback to, those particular people, in the past seasons, like flashes of their past up until now and all that stuff. And we finally see who was pretty much at the end of the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And like I said, the person ended up being my first pick on who I suspected that Negan killed, and it was none other than Sergeant Abraham Ford himself. The reason why I thought it was Abraham was there were fairly good hints to it, like, for example, at the end of season 6, when, after that first hit Negan did, he's like, ooh, that person took it like a champ, right? And I was like, obviously it has to be someone who could take a hit. It can't be someone frail. So I was like, and also the fact that I also predicted it was someone that was sitting on the right side of Rick because of the blood smear on the right side of his face. And so Abraham was sitting on the right side of Rick. He's a big burly guy, for Christ's sake, he's a sergeant, he could take a hit, so I pretty much predicted it was most likely him. And when I saw that season 7 sneak peek of, when Negan dragged Rick into the RV and it zoomed out of the RV and then zoomed in on the carnage of who he killed, that person was directly in front of the door of the RV. And when I looked back at the lineup in season 6's ending, the finale, Abraham was the one that was literally directly in front of the door of the RV, and so I predicted right. And what was crazy was you pretty much see everything in Rick's perspective. He sees everyone all scared and everything and trembling. He sees the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He sees in utter shock of when, he points at you, which is Abraham, and then just that one whack, and you see, like, huge, like, somewhat indent, obviously because it's a bat, and also it's a bat wrapped in barbed wire. How many minutes am I in? 9. So obviously there's, like, going to be, like, an indent there, right, from the barbed wire and the bat. You see the blood dripping and everything, and Sergeant Abraham Ford has some serious balls, because after that first hit, apparently, the reason why he said before, the reason why he is beating up Abraham, or at least one person from this group, is because this is apparently punishment for Rick and the others, because they all killed a lot of his people, the saviors, in the 6th season prior to their capture. Remember what they thought was the base of operations of Negan? they killed all those people there, right? They killed a bunch of saviors. So in retaliation and punishment for Rick and the others killing so many saviors, he decided to punish them by at least killing one of their own, right? And unfortunately, Abraham ended up being that very person. And he beats him to death. It's just crazy, but the reason why I said Sergeant Abraham Ford had some serious balls, because after that first hit, and Negan's like, ooh, he took it like a champ, Sergeant Abraham Ford had the most famous last breath line I've ever seen in my life. And you know what he said? I don't know if I'm going to get an X for this, because it's a very provocative, not really provocative, it's a very semi-dirty thing to say. It's almost like cursing. But Abraham pretty much says, in his dying breath, before Negan continues to bash him to death, is pretty much, suck my nuts. And I was like, famous last words. At least freaking Abe went out. He went out with a bang, man. He had that last line. That was an epic line. That's very Abraham Ford line, you know what I mean? It's like, the fact that he literally told Negan to suck my nuts right before he was beaten to death by him, just pretty much proved to the world that he died a badass. I don't care if I get an X for that. I mean, Abraham died a badass. Like, it was brutal, yes, but the fact that he said suck my nuts right before he died, Abraham, respect right there. Utter freaking respect. And I'm actually very surprised I actually got that right when I predicted it, because there were many signs that it was, that for my prediction was possibly true, but I normally don't get things right when I predict them. That's why I was kind of surprised. At the same time, I wasn't surprised, because there were obvious signs that it was Abraham that got the bat. But anyway, after, you know, beating poor Abraham to death, Negan and his bloody bat Lucille goes in front of Rosita, and he shows the bat to Rosita, and she doesn't want to see it, right? Because obviously, you know, poor Abraham was beaten to death with it, right? And the reason why Negan's doing this, because he suspected that she and Abraham may have had a relationship, because mainly due to her reaction to the death. Her reaction was obviously more traumatic, because obviously, you know, Abraham and Rosita, they had something before, you know, before Sasha, you know what I mean? I mean, when we first met Abraham, he was with Rosita and Eugene, and we saw that they obviously had something together for a very long time, up until, you know, toward the end of season 6, where Abraham decided to, you know, break up with Rosita and go with Sasha. And so obviously she's going to have a very big reaction to the death, just like Eugene also, right? And he tries to force her to look at the bat and everything, but she refuses to do that. And because she refused to look at the bat, I guess something triggered in Daryl and made him do the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, because I guess seeing Negan force Rosita to look at the bloody bat after beating Abraham to death with it, Daryl gets all enraged and lunges at Negan and manages to land a vicious right hook on Negan's face, sending Negan reeling backward. And the moment I saw that, I was like, Daryl, did you just sign your own death warrant right now? That was the dumbest thing you could ever have done. Oh my god, why? I really thought this was going to be the end of Daryl, but again, I was surprised what happened next, because despite that being very grave consequences, Dwight threatens to put an arrow in Daryl, but Negan actually decides to spare him, because he sees Daryl as a very potential useful member to his own group because of what he did. But since he disobeyed his instructions, he decides, you know what, someone else has to get punished for you. And since Daryl disobeyed his instructions, and, you know, Negan did allow Glenn off, because remember, Glenn, he charged at him the first time, and, you know, Negan decided to let Glenn off easy, but now Daryl has done this, so because of that, he decides, you know what, I let Glenn off, and unfortunately, this is what shocked me the most, and I will continue it at the next video. Bye, Bluetooth.